The following program contains the opinions of the host, guests, and call-in participants. These do not necessarily represent the views of this show's distributors or sponsors. This program may contain obscene, profane, or otherwise objectionable language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey, coming to you cordless from Minneapolis, everybody. It's Wednesday night, August 13th, 2025. I am Jim Peters, and welcome to another edition of Jim Peters at Night. This is episode number 265. Mark your scorecards. Someday there'll be a test. Don't know when that'll be. Maybe 10, 15 years from now. I don't know. Tim Conaway is our guest tonight. He's a former executive editor of Hustler magazine, former presidential candidate, and just general all-around raconteur. And we got a whole bunch of stuff talking about his monthly appearance here. Got a whole bunch of stuff. It's a talk show, so that's what we do. We talk. And the phone lines are open. 325, call Jim, 325-225-5546. They're open right now. You have a question for Tim, your question afterwards. We'll do a little bit of Jimcast at the end of the show. This might be a little on the shorter side. I want to thank Bruce Solheim for joining us last night. Great conversation. Now, if you listened to that or watched it, you'll know that that was a makeup show basically because Bruce was on 2 months ago, and the show that we did, which is recorded in 7 places, 7 different servers, 7 different companies, all 6 of our distributors, and a local copy here in our studio, none of those files turned out. None of them. Now, last night they did. We didn't have a problem. I could get paranoid, although, Bruce talked last night about the fact that he's had some run-ins with the government, and it seems like anybody who talks about UFO shit with any sort of temerity or frequency at all does. I don't know. I haven't, but he has, and so I was starting to get paranoid. I'll be perfectly blunt with you. So anyway, I don't think Tim Conaway's done any remote viewing. We'll ask him about that. We're taking tomorrow night off. Our rerun tomorrow night is going to be Brian. Oh shit! I pressed the wrong button. Hold on. Brian Risinger, Reisinger, and Leslie Corby from last Tuesday, August 5th. Brian Reisinger is an author and a farmer, and he's written a book called Land Rich, Cash Poor, about running his family farm in Wisconsin. And Leslie Corby is a Utah attorney, a poet of all things, and also a self-professed anti-feminist. And she wrote a book of poetry about anti-feminism, which is, you kind of expect poets, they're going to be kind of like, left-wing nutties, or whatever. Nope, not her. No, she's pro-life, and she wrote a book on poetry on it, which is fascinating. And she actually is. This is a rerun. We've already done this. She's a fascinating woman. She's really charming. It was a great conversation. It was terrific. She's really interesting. So we run reruns on Friday too. I don't know what that's going to be yet. I don't. This coming Monday, Don Zorro's joining us for his monthly soiree into our little virtual studio here. He's a big fan favorite. And also Jonathan Lockwood's going to be joining us. He's our military expert, former colonel in the U.S. Army, to talk about Trump's meeting with Putin this coming weekend. So this will be on Monday. So he's going to be on to talk about that. That should be interesting. And on Tuesday, now I haven't said what we have going on Tuesday because I've been hesitant to do this, but we're trying to get the cast of the movie Guns N' Roses on the show. And we've been working on this for about a month. And at first they said they could do it, and as far as I know, they still can do it. But the question was whether the date was going to work. There are all sorts of. They have not actually confirmed. That's Sal Litvak's movie, and Sal was on here. Salvador Litvak was on the show about 2 months ago, I think it was, before the movie came out, and I think it came out about 2 weeks ago. It's been a huge hit. Well, it's done way better than anybody expected it to do, and apparently it's extremely entertaining. It's about a rabbi who basically goes on. He's a vigilante spree. So I haven't seen it yet, but if they come on Tuesday, I'll make certain to watch it ahead of time. But anyway, that's what we got going on here. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Not confirmed yet, but that's what I'm certain of it enough to talk about it. So that's what we got going on. We got it going on, and also Conaway does too. And without any further ado, let's put him on in 12 seconds. Joining us from his home in suburban Minneapolis, it's the legend, the man. He's got it going on.
Going on.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. How you doing? Tim Conaway's here. How are you?
Oh, well, I'm hanging in there.
Yeah.
Been busy this week. I do volunteer work, vision screening for kids, and had a whole bunch of stuff going on this week. It's still going on. I got something tomorrow and something on Saturday and Sunday. So
in a typical week like this, how many kids do you screen?
Well, it varies from event to event, but this week is a little bit unusual because one of the places we're screening, they're having from Monday through Thursday, they're having this health and wellness thing, and kids are also picking up backpacks filled with school supplies. And so it's a little unusual for us to do something 4 days in a row someplace like that. We usually do it in one day. So, we'll get anywhere from maybe 24 kids at a one-day event to over 100 kids at the event. Depends on what it is.
You stick Hustler magazines on those backpacks?
No, we're not allowed near the backpacks.
No, you're not, are you?
No. But yeah,
answer me this. If I'm right, Hustler does not put out a hard copy anymore, right?
I don't know.
Intended.
Yeah, I haven't, I left the magazine in 95 and I haven't really seen one or stayed in touch with anybody there. My interest in the magazine when I worked there was taking on the hypocrites of the world and getting some good investigative articles and stuff like that. The pictures of naked women were nice, but it's ink on paper. It's not, to me, it's not personally exciting. So after I left the magazine, I really had no interest in it. And so I don't know. I know Larry Flint died a couple of years ago, and that's about as much as I know about what's going on in that world.
Is that their website is quite popular. I think they get a lot of traffic there.
I imagine they would. And the internet was just coming on as I left there. And interesting, I left because the price of paper went up 50% across the board. And at that time, LFP, Larry Flint Publishing, had 36 magazines. Only 3 of them were in the adult field, and the others were special interest magazines of all kinds. But 36 regular magazines is a lot of paper, and so a whole bunch of us were let go at that time. And that was right about the time that things were kind of shifting to the internet. And I know that we had been looking toward that. At the time, it wasn't quite as easy to put something on the way we wanted to do it. And
but I'd say basically before 2000 it'd be impossible. I ran in the 1990s. It was really primitive. I mean, cutting edge was not working for you at all.
Right. So they followed up though and got that. And most people would rather do that. You don't have to go to the newsstand and purchase the magazine in public. You know, we those kind of magazines were mainly bought at newsstands. There weren't
Yeah,
like a lot of subscribers
right.
going and picking them up. Um, so the internet just made it a lot easier for people to enjoy that, and they were still doing the good articles, the good journalism, and features. So, but doing it online. So, that would have been interesting to be part of that, but I was already off in some different direction. Yeah.
And in your heyday, you were selling about what, 5 million magazines a month, something like that?
Well, in the heyday of the late '70s and kind of into the early '80s, and then various shit happened, but we kind of dropped off. Larry pulled a lot of stunts back in the early '80s, and uh, he was always pulling some kind of shit and getting in the face of the world. But he kind of pissed off his regular viewership with some of the stuff that he did. So uh, we lost some sales, and then uh, going back into the mid '80s, we picked it back up, and I think got up to about 1.5 million, which was pretty good. In the late '80s and early '90s, were for any of the magazines. So
And like you said, that was almost all newsstand sales, right?
yeah, pretty much all of it. Maybe there were 50,000, 70,000 subscribers out of that.
Yeah, and 1.5 million, right? That's like what, like almost like 92 or 93%, I think.
Yeah,
Just
I
doing
think.
math in my head, which I can do sometimes.
Yeah, I can't. So
I take my Excedrin, so it works.
well,
I thought
I,
of, yeah, go ahead.
oh no, I was just going to say, I guess at numbers. I don't do math in my head. I just make shit up.
Oh, hell. Politicians, why not?
Yeah.
Just guess. So then speaking of that, speaking of numbers, I thought of you this last couple of weeks. I've been having more and more economists on. So I had a guy named Gary Gallis on, and he's talking about he's not a big fan of the Trump tariffs, and
Yeah.
he said something that you said, I think the month before when you were on, about the fact that he considers what Trump's handling the tariffs to be technically unconstitutional. And you said the same thing.
Yeah. The Congress has the authority to, do customs and duties and tariffs,
Yeah.
uh, not the president.
I, I,
And
loo- I looked it up. It's Article 1, Section 8.
yeah,
Yeah.
And there was some act that Congress did where they gave the president some limited power on tariffs. That Trump is using that as his thing, but Congress can't change the Constitution through legislation. If you
Right.
want to change the Constitution, there has to be an amendment that specifies that. And so basically, Trump doesn't have the authority to impose all these tariffs that he's imposing. If
Yeah.
he wants to get Congress to do that, then that works under the Constitution. But Congress hasn't made any acts imposing these tariffs that are going around. These tariffs that do happen and then don't happen and then might happen and then kind of happen. And
Yeah, well, that's actually the thing I was talking with Gallus about the fact that most, if you ask a traditional economist, they will tell you these tariffs that Trump is doing shouldn't work. And my counter, if I have a counter, is that I don't know. I think this is about more than just tariffs. Which is the reason maybe so far it seems to be working so far. But I mean, and people say, well, my boyfriend Bill O'Reilly says we'll know by December, and I think it's going to be a good year before we actually know what's going to happen.
well, I don't know what working means. What it is that they're supposed to accomplish. It's a tax on U.S. businesses. The tariffs aren't paid by foreign countries. Trump has been saying, "Oh, get China to pay and get Denmark to pay and get India to pay." They don't pay the tariffs. American businesses that are importing these goods pay the tariffs.
Hmm.
So it's a tax on American business. Uh, and one of the purposes of tariffs is to uh, stimulate manufacturing of goods in the U.S. so that the people who are now importing these goods would instead get them from U.S. companies. But that trying to stimulate that uh, in the first place, we don't have a lot of the resources that we once had. So you're going to have to get the resources from some other country.
Hmm.
And whether that's raw materials or whether it's parts, for whatever it is you're manufacturing. And the other part of it is uh, a lot of this stuff simply isn't manufactured right now in the United States. So to start up manufacturing for it is a long-term
Yeah,
process.
right.
Uh,
That's exactly what I was talking about. That I don't think we know even within a year whether this is actually gonna be productive or not.
Yeah, it'll take a couple of years for companies to set up and get stuff going that and actually be selling things here, make a difference. Um, so yeah, I know that the other part of it is supposed to be getting these other countries in line, or it's some kind of it's some of Trump's idea of doing business, which has never impressed me. Uh, so I think the tariffs are a waste of time, and have caused a lot of trouble. They've already caused prices to go up. I
Yeah,
know you tell Walmart and some of these other people they couldn't do it, but the president doesn't have the authority to tell private businesses, how to set their costs. So
right.
that's the
And
other part.
I will attest to this. Supposedly inflation is either steady or creeping up very little, but I'm still going to the grocery store and prices are still going up. So I don't know if you've noticed this. Or I do the
Oh
shopping
yeah.
with my family. I find this quite disconcerting. Right now, I find a disconnect between what I'm hearing in the financial news and my grocery shopping.
Well, that's because food. Uh, Consumables like food stuff aren't counted in that index.
Uh-huh.
It's more stable traded goods, but food isn't part of what you look at in as what is included in the inflation numbers. So food prices can go up, and you won't see that reflected in the inflation reports, but most people don't. Most people think it's all, it says inflation. It's the price of everything going up, but
Right.
it isn't. Uh, these numbers that come out on various things, what they're based on, what they cover, they don't. That's not very often explained, and all the econo journalists are loath to explain anything because
They don't know.
well, well, that's part of it, but they just think, well, everybody knows that, or well,
Yeah.
if you don't know that, why are you reading the business section of the newspaper and stuff? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'm going to rerun Gary Gallus' show. He's a really, really charming guy, great communicator. Yeah. But he did not. He was basically looking down on this whole tariff scheme. He thought it was really going to be disastrous. He just retired as a professor of economics at Pepperdine University, and
uh,
you lived in L.A., maybe the most beautiful campus in the nation. Unbelievable.
yeah. Pepperdine is special. Very, I mean, very high level education there.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
one of the finest institutions. So if he was an instructor there, he definitely knows what's going on.
43 years he was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. There are people of it going on. It's like you and I aren't the only one. Well, I shouldn't include myself. I shouldn't. I shouldn't.
Yeah, you're going on, Jim.
Yeah, I'm going on 70.
Well, I look. That's in the rear view for me, and so
Yeah, look how good
I'm
you look. You know.
I'm looking for the 80 now. That's my next goal. I figure I'm a little bit past halfway.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Well,
uh,
you should be able to make 160. You're taking your supplements, you
yeah,
state of the art healthcare.
drink
You
a
know,
lot of water, eat a lot of pie.
they'll replace your heart, that sort of
Mm,
thing. And you should,
yeah.
well, my mother's 101. She's still kicking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought of you again too. I also about the thing these people are protesting in D.C. about the fact they're sending the National Guard, which I find now what I'm getting off of the press on this. I don't know if this is a conservative press exaggerating this, but also wouldn't surprise me if it's true about the fact that there's a lot of libs in DC that basically have come out behind the scenes supporting this because apparently the place is just I haven't been there in quite a few years. I used to go there regularly. I haven't, but apparently it's become kind of a hellhole. But the thing I really found amazing, what I find buried in all the statistics, there's this company called Crowds on Demand. I don't know if you've heard of this. They actually you can pay them to send protesters to an event, and apparently the Democratic Party has used them for years. And they say that their requests for paid protesters in D.C. over the last 12 months have gone up 4 times. So
Oh, yeah. I don't know. What I've been reading is that the uh, the crime statistics in DC have been on the decline in the past couple of years. That it actually is less crime now there than there used to be. Trump has pulled out a couple of examples, and one that kid that works for Doge, and then they were going to appoint him, or they have appointed him to some other job. Uh, got beat up. His nickname is Big Balls for
yeah,
some reason. Got beat up, and so Trump's got to make a big show of this. But actually the crime numbers are down, so it doesn't call for federal intervention. And federalizing the police force is one of those dangerous moves that shouldn't be allowed, or the local police even sending in National Guard, which is not quite like sending in the military, uh, but it's a dangerous sign.
yeah. Well, first of all, and this one of my problems with the media is that anybody can pull out any example of anything. I mean, yeah, Big Ball's got the crap beat out of him, but I mean that can happen any day in any city in America.
Yeah.
So that's not indicative of the statistics at all. And but the other things too. I mean, it is a federal district, and the only reason
Well,
they have a mayor is because the Congress has allowed them to.
yeah, it's a different in DC. One of the points on that the guy that got beat up, it was a bunch of like 15 and 16-year-old kids from Maryland. It wasn't even residents of Washington D.C. who attacked him and beat him up. So maybe they ought to send some National Guard to Maryland or something.
Well,
But
have you ever? I've been in some of the bad parts of Baltimore. It's like a nuclear bomb went off. It's unbelievable.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
Baltimore's quite the city there. It's
yeah,
quite the place. It's like Philadelphia. You've got your certain areas of it that just, I think if they didn't they put up an imaginary wall.
yeah,
The government did and said, "Oh, we're not going to deal with that." And
yeah. I was driving. I was trying to get on the freeway in Baltimore. I took a wrong turn, and all of a sudden, I'm on Mars, and literally a police car comes and pulls me over and says, "Sir, you're not supposed to be here." Oh, okay.
yeah,
Sort you out, and they did. That happened.
yeah, yeah, it's like that. There was that great series called Homicide: Life on the Streets,
Yeah,
which was set
yeah.
in Baltimore, and they had a lot of good things about the way that city operates.
And what was the name of the comedian that was on that? Oh God, on the
Uh,
tip of
oh,
my
he played the character a bunch. I'm
punch. Yeah, right.
and he ended up on the six New York's sex victim, whatever that
Law and Order, right? Yeah,
Law and Order SVU
yeah, yeah,
kind of
Law and
thing.
Order SUV, I think it is, right?
Yeah.
They drive around in big cars.
uh,
Oh, what is his
yeah.
name? God damn.
Yeah. I can't think of it now. My mind is kind of mush
He
at
wrote a
this
book
point.
on UFOs. Did you know that? 'Cause I
Oh
know,
no, I didn't.
yeah, he did. He fervently thought that the government was covering that up too. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, then they probably are. Probably have been for a long time.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Him and Dan Aykroyd, who Dan Aykroyd said he actually saw Men in Black. He said
mm,
he actually saw them with his own eyes. So I
mm.
don't know, but he had a he had a UFO documentary canceled by one of the networks when
No.
some got a call. He saw a bunch of men in black outside taking a smoke break. Went back in and they got a call. Said nope, gotta stop. Okay, so
Yeah.
I had this guy on Bruce Solheim last night. So now, did I tell you what happened here? You know about
Yeah.
this?
You told me about
Yeah,
uh, the
7 files all shot.
all of the files disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah, all of them.
Amazingly.
And even the local ones we had here in the studio gone. I don't know what
Mhm.
I can't figure it out. Well, I checked now last night. He came on live, and last night was kosher. It was okay, but I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
My problem with being paranoid like that, Tim, is that if if you buy that stuff, and Bruce and I were talking about this last night. Do you know how many freaking people would have to be involved in this? I mean, it's unbelievable. If they're going to chase after small time characters like me and him, it's you just I don't know.
Well, the keywords. The NSA is tapped into everybody, and so you're talking about UFOs in public. On a public platform of some kind. That's probably all it takes, and
Yeah,
then
you're
and then
probably
I'm sure that the NSA has people who can know how to worm into these uh, devices and strike however they need to do it.
they probably have an AI like listening to every damn thing on YouTube that's live. And it's like
Yeah.
you got a keyword or key phrase that goes off, and then they flag a person, and then they have a person listen to. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. So Bruce was saying that he did some remote viewing. Are you familiar with what that is?
I've heard the term, but refresh me here.
Okay, that's people who say they can observe something happening at a remote location without having to be there. Right
Oh, okay.
now, the
Yeah.
amazing thing is, and Bruce and I talked about this too, that the government is claiming. First of all, they actually had a public program called Project Stargate where they did this. They say they killed it. I don't believe it because apparently it worked. And there's the government saying anybody can be trained to do this, which actually boggles my mind. But Bruce was doing it, and he said I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he said he was requested by certain people in the U.S. government to locate the 3 American hostages that Hamas had taken over in Gaza, right? And he said he succeeded. He gave them the locations, and they turned out to be correct. And
Wow.
they rescued all 3 of those people. So I mean, I don't understand how this works. I don't, but it's like apparently it's real.
Yeah. Well, to me, that kind of thing is more real. It's part of this connectedness, and we talk about the soul or the spirit, and that separates us from the animals, and from that's a distinction. We have a brain, but we also have our minds, and I think it's all connected to the universal energy, and the ability to go outside of our minds, go outside of our normal senses, and to stretch into these other areas, I think is very real. I've always been more fascinated by the idea of magic, of real magic, not sleight of hand, but the ability to use natural forces to accomplish something beyond ordinary existence. And so, yeah, that seems like it could be very real.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. There's another part of it called it's called coordination viewing. So the way this works is that the person who's doing the remote viewing, they're not told like who to look for or where to go. They're just given map coordinates written on a piece of paper. And most people, of course, you can't really read them, especially from a reference. But the way this supposedly works is that you don't know where the coordinates are, but somebody on Earth does. And because of the collective unconsciousness, therefore that's the way this works. It's fascinating, but they say anybody can be trained to do this, but
I wouldn't say anybody could be trained to do it, but I'd say that the right kind of people could be trained to do it. And it doesn't necessarily mean like high intelligence levels or something.
yeah,
You have to be able to sort of disconnect from the ordinary, and change the scope of your focus, or not focus on it, not think about it too much or something, to allow that connectedness to happen. But yeah, say that I would say that there's maybe 10% of the population that could be eligible. But finding them, because you're not going to get like one category of people.
right,
It's
right.
all going to be college professors, or it's all going to be engineers, or it's going to vary throughout the population.
Well, he liked my analogy about the fact that it's like opera singing. Anybody can sing, but very few people can sing like Pavarotti. You know,
Right. Oh
But-
yeah.
right? So now speaking of the media, are we speaking of the media? I don't know, but
Yeah. Oh
you,
yeah.
you were part of the media. You know what I'm really fascinated with lately is sports talk shows. Now, I'm obsessed with talk shows anyway. Do you watch much of this stuff? Do you
Not a whole lot. I like sports.
Yeah,
I
but
like to watch the sports happening. People talking about sports isn't all that much. There's one on ESPN called Pardon the Interruption that's been
yeah,
around for, I don't know, maybe 20 years now or something.
right.
And I like it because, A, it's two former newspaper sports writers who covered a lot of sports.
Well, Kornheiser's brilliant too. There's no
Yeah.
yeah, he's
And B, uh, they say what's on their mind. They don't, try to sugarcoat it. Most people don't, sports is on TV and they think, oh, it's like news or something, but it's not. There's a contract with the leagues to put on these games. And, if people sit there and complain about the league or complain about this, or, call certain people out, that contract is, there's going to be a change made.
yeah,
It's sports is not a public activity, like government and the police and fire and parks and that kind of stuff. Sports is a business, and what's on there is entertainment. It's not these people sitting up in the booth are not news people. They're not independent journalists. So I really like the PTO, but the rest of them, they're talking about stuff, and I could care less. And now there are all these shows that tell you, about the gambling, which you can do on your phone, and you can, bet on how many inches outside the 3-point line somebody takes a shot on, and it's kind of weird shit, and and
And
so.
have you noticed? You know how they get people to watch these shows? Hot chicks. Have you noticed?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, that's true. Every one of them's got, and they're
Yeah,
dressed the tight tops and the short skirts and the
yeah, yeah.
that kind of stuff. We didn't used to have women doing sportscasting at all until like the late '90s or something like that. ESPN was the first to have them on, and now, yeah, every show's got their female sportscaster. Some of them are good. The WNBA, the women who do the studio stuff,
Uh-huh.
they have pregame and studio stuff. There's some good ones on there. who really know what they're talking about and can
Okay, I have
really,
now that you stepped in that, I got to bring this up though. The thing about throwing the dildos on the court. Okay,
yeah,
all right. So not more than one person suggested, they should just they're getting attention and it's quite humorous. Why don't you just make fun of it and run with it? They're all up in arms about how offensive this is. And no, just embrace it and go with it because in fact people are watching because of this. What do you think?
yeah. Well, it's just one of those stunts. If you just let it go and let it happen, it would probably go away.
Well, right, that's the other thing too. It would probably go away, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the season, but now, they're it's whoever's throwing this stuff. Well, they're getting a rise out of these people, so they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And it's spending a lot of money at the local sex shoppy.
Well, I don't even know how much those dildos cost. I don't
Oh,
know.
I'm sure that there's a high price put on that because that's I don't know if those are imported from China. Not the big ones, I would guess.
Yeah, there's about a dozen jokes there. You know that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not going to say any of them.
Uh,
Well, let me read you a headline here. This is from a TV radio trade publication, which I will not name, but the headline is Skip Bayless says Stephen A. Smith struggled early with Twitter on First Take, and I'm thinking that's the least amount of news I've ever seen in anything ever. It's like, really, you wrote an article about this? It's like,
yeah. Yeah, well, that's and some of these guys really have big egos
yeah.
that are doing this stuff, and they think because they're commenting on sports and they're telling you all this so-called behind the scenes stuff that they're really important big shots.
But Tim, can you blame them? I mean, Stephen A. Smith's getting paid $20 million a year.
Oh, I know, and and I've seen him do his bit. I've never been really all that impressed.
Me neither. I mean, he's okay. I'm not going to put him down. He's not terrible.
Yeah, I mean, he gets some good information. He does dig, and he gives you some stuff beyond just. A lot of these people are just speculating about this thing, that thing, the other thing.
Yeah,
He
like I
actually,
do.
well, oh no, Jim,
I got a whole show based on speculation. What do you think?
you're getting the facts.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
But, but yeah, Stephen A. Smith does a good job. Well, any of these people on TV, the talking heads that are getting millions of dollars.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about that, Tim, is that in some ways, the problem with the sports talk show thing is that the ratings, even for the best shows, aren't that good compared to the rest of the media or the rest of television. That's the thing. They're getting paid kind of the same amount of money. But the First Take, I actually look, they don't get more than 500,000 people watching it any day, and usually less. And by television or cable standards, that's really kind of considered a failure rate. But
Yeah, but I think it's like when we were doing these special interest magazines. We didn't sell a lot of copies of them, but our advertisers knew that everybody in that market bought stuff associated with that special, with that
Right.
hobby or that pastime or whatever. So I think it's the quality of the audience more than the numbers in the
Right.
audience.
Right.
If the advertisers are seeing some kind of response to that, then because that's where all the money comes from to pay all these people. But what I was going to say is, these talking heads get the millions of dollars, but there are always people behind the scenes, researchers, and writers, other people. Stephen A. Smith doesn't call everybody. He has people make calls for him. And then if there's something interesting, he gets on the phone and gets some stuff. So, and those people don't get paid. They get paid a lot more than your average everyday worker. But, compared to the people that come on camera, it's pretty sad.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm under the impression that a lot of people in background on television right now are not getting paid that. I mean, there's a lot of people aren't even getting paid six figures,
Oh, no. Well, it depends on how many episodes that you work on. what you're going to get. But and again, this takes me back to the LA days, because I'm out of touch with what screen writers get on TV shows. But some of these shows where the actors were complaining that they only got $750,000 an episode or whatever,
Right.
the writers were getting $19,000 an episode.
Right.
And without the writers, you don't have anything.
And you and I have talked about this off camera. It's really important. You can't have television or movies without good writing. It's the one you can pretty much fake everything else. You can't fake good writing. If you got a shitty story, you're not with a shitty TV show or a shitty movie. You can't really fix it from that point.
Exactly. Yeah. But the writers get paid the least and are the least important people in the room. And I know screenwriters always have been paid less than the director. The producers, take a big chunk out of the budget for themselves. And of course, the actors get tons and tons of money, but most of these actors couldn't speak complete sentences if they didn't have something written out in front of them.
Yeah, right.
And we lived in LA. We knew people who were actors.
Absolutely.
So
they're like they're as a class one of the most unimpressive people you ever meet in your life.
Oh yeah, in person. So yeah, that's. But the sports talk stuff is like that. There's that one show that I like, and I don't really watch much of any of the rest of it. I like to just watch the games themselves.
Yeah, well, the games are pulling. I mean, right now, for all practical purposes on American TV, the only thing people are watching are sports and Fox News. That's it. I mean, Fox. I don't know if you follow this. Fox News is absolutely cleaning up. I mean, they're the highest rated network, even drawing more people than the three broadcast networks are. It's mind boggling. It's just they keeps on getting more. It's unprecedented success. But anyway, yeah, that and people love their live sports and they'll pretty much watch anything. I mean, I was talking to somebody on the phone today about the fact that on Sunday, I think it was FS2 ran pickleball.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the hell? Put it on.
Oh yeah, well I've been, sometimes on the weekend if I have the time, if I'm not trying to do something else, I'll just sit down and I want to rest and I'll try to find some sports to watch. And they've got pickleball, they've got the Little League World Series, they've got and and then auto racing is like watching auto racing on TV. I don't understand.
I think it does not play well.
Well, but people watch it. I mean,
I know.
So there are all these things, but there's no soccer. There's finally a WNBA game came on, and I like watching the women's basketball. They play a good game, and soccer during the summertime. Baseball, watching it on TV or watching it live at the stadium is like there's so much. I wish that I had become a professional baseball player. I wasn't a good baseball player when I was a kid. My dad didn't like baseball, so he pushed football, and my older brother loved basketball, so he was pushing basketball. But these guys get paid huge contracts, and you spend most of the 3 hours that it takes for one of these games to unfold standing in one spot, just out in the field, waiting for something to happen. And every now and then you have to run a few steps and catch a ball and throw it. Yeah, it's like, man, why couldn't I have got into that? and people will complain. Some baseball fans will say, well, what about soccer? Nothing ever happens in soccer. There's constant movement in soccer. There's constantly things going on in soccer.
I've heard that during the average Premier League game in soccer, the average player runs 11 miles during the match. Right. Yeah. You can't stand still. You can't.
And the ball's moving back and forth. Right. They track how many touches there are in the games.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I watch that, and I understand the strategies and the position play and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I went to a live. I've been to live baseball games in my life, and it's like, no, this was a game that was used to be America's number one sport when it was all on the radio, because you could listen to it in the background.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, don't you find going to the stadium is kind of, I find it kind of a mild diversion. I mean, you don't really, people aren't really watching the game. They're eating their hot dogs, or
yeah,
they're talking to their
talking.
friends, or
And now they're on the phone and stuff.
right.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's pleasant.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And some of these newer stadiums are very nice.
Yeah.
Dodger Stadium. When all these stadiums went to, they share the shared stadium. It was baseball and football and the same thing. Dodger Stadium stayed like an old stadium, and then
Yeah.
after about 10 years or so, these shared stadiums, all the baseball teams said, we want to go back to the old way. And so they all
Right.
made these stadiums that are kind of like Dodger Stadium, except it's built on the hillside of a ravine. So there are no posts holding anything up to block your view. It's all tacked in, into the hillside, so
Right.
that the overhang is completely supported. But and I when I was a little kid, I go to Cincinnati and go to Reds games at the old field there. They had wooden benches, instead of the seats, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's an outing, but if you're there for the sports,
You ever watch Australian rules football? You ever seen
if
that?
you actually are paying attention to sport, what's that? Did I see what?
Do you ever watch Australian rules football?
Oh yeah, yeah, I've seen that.
That's
It's
fascinating.
Yeah, it's confusing as hell to the
Yeah, it took
American
me like
mind.
2 years to even so, I've always worked late at night, so I, like, go to bed at 2, 3 in the morning.
Mhm.
The especially on weekends, they're running the live games from Australia here in Minneapolis at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and it took me a good 2 years. I even got on the Wikipedia to read the rules, and I couldn't figure it out. But
Yeah,
I finally got it. I did finally get it, but still, yeah, it's confusing.
yeah,
The really weird part is that you can kick a goal, and to kick a goal, no one can touch the ball before it goes through the goalpost, but the ball can touch the ground. This is the part I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. So yeah, so your ball has to clear everything, but you can bounce. They call it a scribble or something like that. You can bounce the ball into the goal. It's like, what? It's like,
yeah,
that counts. Okay, fine. I don't know how you
yeah,
do that, but
yeah. It's fun, but there's a lot of action in it,
oh yeah,
and
there's 18 people on the field
yeah,
or on a team too. Yeah,
yeah,
a lot of guys. Yeah, huge team, a huge field, like 260 yards long, really big. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
we're old men. We're really impressed. Now, I got one more thing too about the media thing. I thought you'd find this interesting. I pulled this statistic just came out today, and that is 52% of Americans watch broadcast or cable TV every day, but the gap between generations is really amazing. 82% of baby boomers watch at least once a day, but only 26% of Gen Z. So basically, the younger you get, the less people are watching television.
Yeah. Well, they're on their phones all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
It's and well, they're playing games. They're in their chat rooms with their groups, on Discord and Clangor and whatever these other things are, and they're not interested. And part of it too is I think they're not interested in anything that takes longer than 5 minutes to follow. If they had to watch an entire half an hour of something, it would be too much for them.
Oh yeah, you think about these people like producing like Chicago Fire or NCIS,
Mhm.
$3-4 million an episode, and then they're completely swamped by some 1 minute thing on TikTok or YouTube. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's I mean, we grew up with TV, so we expect to watch it. You know, my wife likes to watch TV every night, and I go along with it because I'm tired and I sit in the chair and do that. You know, I would probably rather be out in the garage making sawdust or, you know, doing
Cutting
something else in the evening. Uh, yeah, uh, but but yeah, I like to watch movies on television. I'm not going to watch a movie on my phone because I'd actually like to see what the characters' faces look like and
Yeah.
you know, to see the big explosions. Uh, but yeah, so no, it's not a surprise. My granddaughter's 21, and I don't know if she ever watches TV. And when we've been over there and the TV's been on, she's got her phone in front of her,
Yeah.
and you know,
Yeah.
she might be chatting with her friends about something that's on the TV, but the primary entertainment there is the chat with the friends.
Yeah, and I just this is not in my notes, so I just pulled this out of my butt here, which I have a lot of stuff in my butt, so there's a lot to pull out. That this summer, for the first time ever, YouTube viewing on television actually surpassed YouTube viewing on phones, which
Oh yeah.
really surprised me. People are now they're watching YouTube on their televisions, 'cause you like people who doesn't like a big screen? I mean, Christ,
Oh, exactly. And if you're watching YouTube for the entertainment uh, things that are on there, that's good. But there's all kind of how-to stuff depending on what you're doing and or depending on what you'd like to watch other people do. I think that's a lot of it. I'm going to watch these other guys, make a cart or fix recipes or do whatever, do complete makeover kind of thing. I'm not going to do it myself. I'm going to sit here and be entertained.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is more entertaining than a lot of the stuff that's
Well,
on
it is.
television.
That's very unfortunate. I know they spent $3 million making an episode of NCIS, and I'm not that interested in watching. I'm just not.
Yeah, well, here's one of the problems I have with episodic TV, particularly on the networks. It's very formulaic. I haven't watched sitcoms in like 20 years because they all have the same format. I sat down one time and wrote out the format just off the top of my head of the second banana comes in and says something, and that's the theme for the show. And then the first banana says something and gets a laugh, and then the second banana says something, and then the third banana comes in and not knowing what the other two are talking about, says something that's related and gets a laugh, and then the first banana says something, it gets a big laugh, and then we cut to the next scene. And it just goes on like that.
Yeah.
And so I can't watch them because I just know the formula is coming on. And it's the same with like NCIS. I used to like to watch that. I was entertained by it. But after a couple of seasons, it's like, okay, here's the formula. Here's what's going to happen this season. And you've got the individual crime being investigated each week, but there's all this background stuff going on. Yellowstone, I watched the first season of that, and that was pretty entertaining. And then I watched the second season, and I thought, well, this is just like the first season, except we had different villains that were threatening the
Right.
Yellowstone Empire. And then I didn't want to watch the third season. I thought you liked this, and I said, I like it. I said, but I can tell you exactly what's going to happen all this season,
Yeah.
with all these characters. And so that's my big problem with the TV is they want the formula there. If people like it, then you're going to stick to the formula. And unless the show, has a formula that allows for a lot of variation from week to week, within the story, then it's just like working the same crossword puzzle over and over again.
Right. A website I ran many years ago. We had a film critic, and he told me he thought that the first 13 episodes of The Sopranos, which I have to admit I've barely seen any of it. I saw the last episode. I watched maybe a couple in the middle. But he said that the first 13 episodes taken together were the best movie ever made. I thought that was really kind of an interesting thing because people seem to really like that. I don't. But I
Yeah.
don't,
Oh yeah, the first season of it, hooked everybody in, and then you kind of stayed around. But it got, it got here's, you got this character is this part of the formula, is this part of the
Right,
thing.
right.
All these shows kind of do that. Some of the streaming shows that stream on like Peacock or Prime Video or Netflix or some of those. Some of them get away from that kind of thing. Reacher is a good one because it's based on a series of books, and the books are very good. So the story is already there, and it's going to unfold in certain ways, but each season is different than the last season in the way that it works.
Unlike James Bond, where they went through all the Ian Fleming movie and writing, and then finally decided, screw it, we're going to write our own.
Well, yeah, because their own version is really a lot more interesting than Ian Fleming's stories about James Bond.
Yeah, and just for closing here, your comment about the sitcoms, you have to give credit to Faulty Towers. They only did 4 of them, or 12 of them. They did 12 of them, and he bailed. He said, "We're done." It's like we got nothing else to say. But 12 of the finest half hour of comedy you'll ever see. I mean, a lot of people that makes the top list of best sitcoms ever, and it was fantastic. But they didn't try to drag. He didn't drag it out. He said, "We're done."
Yeah, even when you've covered it all, you've covered it all.
That's
and of course, the network dangles a bunch of money in front of you. Do another season, it's like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Supposedly, NBC offered Jerry Seinfeld personally $100 million for another season of Seinfeld, and he said no. And that's actually good because the last half dozen episodes of Seinfeld are actually pretty weak. I think they were out. They were done.
They had run out of stuff, and even Seinfeld, which was a show about nothing, had its formula.
Yeah,
and it's the same sitcom formula. They were just a little bit more clever about how they went through it. But those, if you get that outline, I should sell that on Etsy. Your sitcom formula, your successful sitcom formula, and everybody could do a sitcom then.
Yeah. And speaking of being done, I think we're done too.
Oh, that's us. Finished. Yeah, I got to get some Z's. I got up at 6:15 this morning to start my day.
Not you. You're retired. You shouldn't have to do that.
Well, I had an early screening at a summer safety camp.
We took it full circle then, man.
A lot of good kids, and then an afternoon screening, and then I have to do a lot of paperwork after these things, and got one more tomorrow, but I'm sleeping in. I don't have to be there till 1 o'clock.
I said this before. God bless you, man. You're actually doing something for humanity. So.
Yeah, trying to help the kids.
Yeah.
We need smart kids. We need kids who can read, and to read, you got to be able to see. So we're screening their vision.
That's another hour conversation. We don't want to get into that. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah. No one knows anything. Have you noticed?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I have run into several different groups right now that are pushing being able to read as being important, particularly in, I don't know what we call the underserved communities. I don't know what the correct term is for them anymore, but there are people in those communities saying, if we're going to change things, you've got to be able to read so you can learn, so you can make change. And, that's where the future is. The people who learn how to read, not just learn, what the letters and the sounds and kind of stuff, but to really read, take that information in and be able to use that information. There are going to be few of them in the future, but they're going to make a difference.
Well, yeah, we've already gotten to the point where writing is a specialty. God knows if we get to the point where reading is a specialty, then we're back in the Middle Ages, for Christ's sake.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Well, there's things to be said for the Middle Ages. But,
You know how much I like talking to you, don't you?
Oh yeah, I enjoy talking to you. It's
Yeah.
always fun.
Great love, right here,
Yeah.
here. And in I do have different T-shirts. I don't wear the same one for every show.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites, but yeah,
You know?
I haven't like so many dark T-shirts that people think I'm wearing the same stuff every day.
Yeah, I think they think that of me too, but no, I'm not.
Yeah, that's fine, but
you can't smell it through the inner tube, so
yeah, so that doesn't matter.
Tim, you take care of yourself, all right?
All right, I will do that, and you do the same, and keep this show going, man. It's really good.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that a lot. I really do. Thanks. Take
All
care.
righty.
It's Tim Conaway, former executive editor of Hustler Magazine, general all-around good guy, been around the block a few times, done a few things. Nice to know some cool people. The best part about doing this show, I constantly talk to cool people. Now, I've announced this previously, but I didn't talk about this at the top of this show. We're kind of transitioning here. We only have one more week, but starting in September, we're going to have, oh my God, I think my mother just called in. Hold on. Mom, is that you?
Yes, that's me. I made it.
Oh my God, you made it. Hi. How are you doing? And you called it you called it exactly the right time, too. Tim Conaway just left.
The time was 9 o'clock, so I said 5 to 9, so I said 9, I'll try it.
Mom, let me announce you. This is my mother. She's 101. She just turned 101, and she's calling from small town Minnesota, Mama Peters. And Mom, nice to talk to you always. Yeah. How's things? Mom, you still there?
The reason, can I talk?
Of course you can talk. It's a talk show. That's what we do.
The reason I call it is because it makes me too upset when I listen to the news what's going on.
All right. What's upsetting you?
Well, what upset me is what the president does.
Okay.
He was, before he got president, he was saying that I'm going to stop the war right away in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Now he didn't. He's now, but he wants this, he wants that. And then another thing I don't like, he brings in Washington D.C.
the National Guard,
the police off, and
yeah,
you know what I mean.
We were just
the soldiers scene.
I know.
What trying to do? Make like Russia.
I know you can't watch the show, but we were just talking about that in the first half too, Mama.
Huh?
We were just talking about that in the first half of the show too. I know you can't watch.
People they think. I want to know what people are
Well,
thinking.
I was only talking to Tim Conaway, but well, there's two ways to look at that, Mom. Washington D.C. is actually.
Well, listen, I don't care two ways.
All right.
I know because I was in a war and I know what's going on.
Okay. All right. So tell us what's going on.
Well, he said if Putin doesn't do peace with the Ukraine, he's going to show him. What is going to show him?
Yeah, I don't know. Now they're getting together this weekend, and the scuttle I hear, I'm having yes, Mama.
Putin has been up there for how many years?
Yeah,
he knows all the tricks in the wall.
Yeah, that's correct. He does, and there's a lot of people.
President doesn't know much.
A lot of people think that Putin simply doesn't want to stop.
Yeah, so. Well, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, well, you know more than that.
Huh?
You know more than that, I said. I'm sure you have more to say than that.
Yeah, but it's no use to talk about it because people, they don't believe.
Yeah, but Mom,
You
this
know.
this is a talk show. That's what we do. We talk. So why don't you talk? Tell us what else?
Yeah, so what they gonna do? Why don't they stop even in Israel or the how you call that place?
Gaza.
Yes, it's terrible what they're doing. They want to take Israel wants to take. They don't tell you they want to take that place because they're right on the ocean. Or they want that part of the ocean.
Yeah, but most of Israel's on the ocean, so I don't know.
Well, because they need that.
It's
You see.
it's pretty much worthless land anyway, isn't it?
Huh?
It's pretty much worthless land, I said. The thing
Who
about
say it's worthless?
the
To
thing.
you, it's worthless.
Well,
To the
yeah,
government, it's not worthless.
okay, all
They
right,
come and go on the ocean and everything. It's not worthless.
okay,
For you, yes, and for me.
yeah. I mean, that is kind of the
So,
irony of the whole thing. I mean, they're fighting over this really, really worthless, dusty land. I mean, there's nothing. You can't grow anything there. It's like
they're killing people. What's the matter?
no,
Don't
no,
they have conscience?
yeah,
Killing people? And especially Israel. I've told you that. I was from our city where I was back home. We had 30,000 people, and I'm sorry because some of them I had friends up there and everything. They took them in one night, they killed them.
yeah. I know that,
Now,
Mama.
Israel does the same thing to those people up there.
Yeah,
It's shame.
yeah.
And thank you for letting me talk like that. Because I'm afraid to talk too.
You shouldn't be afraid to talk, Mama. You shouldn't be afraid.
Well, I come from a place so you're afraid to move,
Yeah, I know.
afraid to talk, afraid everything.
I know that. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So,
But that's what we try to
okay,
do. That's what we try to do here, Mom. We try to let people talk. It's like and anyone else wants to call in.
I love you. Okay?
I love you too, Mama.
Have a good night.
I will, Mama. You too. Thanks for calling, Mama. I'll see you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Papa. Bye.
Bye. It's my mother. She's 101 years old. Now, I don't necessarily share my mother's political beliefs, but she, like I said, and you can do the same thing too. If you call up here, you can talk, you can air your opinions. I'm not going to basically question you, or I'm not going to shame you or disparage you for if I disagree with you. I might mention the fact I disagree with you, but you're entitled to your opinion. This is America, and it's crazy how that is. It's like I think everybody should be able to talk. So, also the other thing is too, and I always say this: I don't like to give talking topics on the show as many talk radio hosts do, because I look at this as you call up, I'm interviewing you. That's the way I look at this. Just the same way we have guests, except you select yourself. So anyway, what I was just saying before my mother did call up is that we are in the process of transitioning the show to having on 2 guests tonight, which is double the work. Now I've said this before. Doing this show, and we still do it live, even when we run pre-recorded interviews, I'm still sitting here live at 9 p.m. Eastern. Uh, the it's the hard part of doing the show is booking the guests. I mean, right now we're running through about 15 guests a month. So if we're going to have two people on a night, it's going to be about double that. Realistically, it's going to be about from 15 to about 24 or 25, realistically. But yeah, it's going to be the big amount of work. Our booker, Kimberly, talked me into doing this. It's not that I didn't want to do it, but she thinks we're up to it. So we're gonna give it a shot, and yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. So we're starting this in earnest on September 2nd, the day after Labor Day. So now we got one more. Let me see, we got one more week here before we're taking a week off or vacation for summer vacation. And next week, okay, let me actually look. We got Don Zorro and Jonathan Lockwood on Monday. You guys like Don Zorro. I know that because the numbers go up every time he comes on. He even gets likes on YouTube and stuff. People comment. So he's very entertaining. And Jonathan Lockwood, former U.S. Army colonel, is going to come on to talk about exactly what my mother was talking about, and that is what happened this weekend regarding the Ukrainian negotiations. Now it's going to be really interesting because publicly, I was just talking to Jonathan on the phone this afternoon. Publicly, Putin is saying that if Russia can keep all the stuff on eastern Ukraine that they've captured thus far, he's willing to call it a day. So that's publicly. There's some indication that he doesn't mean it. So we're going to find out this weekend probably if he does, because I'm guessing it looks like Zelensky would probably agree to that, and everyone agrees that. So you see, in most people's minds, this war is 3 years old. This actually started in 2014 when Russia moved into Crimea, and for all even though Crimea is technically, that's the southernmost state of Ukraine, is technically still part of Ukraine. It's completely controlled by Russia. So I mean, there's at this point, there's no way in hell they'd even agree to give that up. They wouldn't. And so right now, if you look at a map of what's going on over in Ukraine, Russia has Crimea in the south, and pretty much about 10 or 20% of the eastern side of Ukraine that they're controlling. So it appears, even though he is saying publicly that they don't want to give that up, that he probably would. So it's going to be really interesting what happens. Really interesting. There's a lot of people dying here, and a lot of people died. And the other thing is, and more people are starting to point this out, even though I think I was a little ahead of this, and that is, if the war goes on, eventually Ukraine will lose. That's all there is to it. Russia has the money, and Russia has the manpower and the superior technology. It's amazing how much of a fight the Ukrainians have put up. I mean, most people expected Russia to conquer Ukraine in 2 weeks, and that didn't even come close to happening. So we'll find out. So Jonathan Lockwood's coming on to talk about that. He's going to be our second guest on Monday. On Tuesday, as I was saying, it looks like we're trying to have the cast of the movie Guns N' Roses on. That's what we're trying to, or at least the principals anyway. That's what we're working on for Tuesday. Don't know if it's going to happen. Don't know. It looks like it's going to, but not sure. And Wednesday, our old friend Larry Newman's here, and we're Bigfoot investigator and bail bondsman extraordinaire. We'll talk to him about the latest Bigfoot sightings, and there are quite a few recently. Quite a few. Although he mentioned this last time he was on last month about the fact that more and more people are seeing Bigfoot on especially in these housing developments they're building out on the outskirts of major cities that are kind of pushing into the woods. A lot of people say they see Bigfoot every day, to the point where they're not bothering even to report it. So that, the question is, it's like, I still have friends who watch the show who say they don't buy this Bigfoot stuff at all. I think Bigfoot's real. The real question is, what is it? That's the real question. And so maybe someday we'll find out, and maybe we won't, because this creature is damn tenacious about not being found. That's for sure. Anyway, yeah. So Larry's on Thursday, and we're taking Larry's next Wednesday, a week from tonight, and we're taking next Thursday off at all. Then the whole last week of this month, we're taking off. So we're going to wrap it up here. You guys, my mother called, and that was it. Okay, fine. Be that way. See what I care. I want to thank Tim Conaway for calling, for stopping by. Great fun. Always good stories. I want to thank you for watching and listening. Really appreciate it. We like doing this. We do. So just hoping to try to make this show better and better. So, and tell your friends to watch. And I don't do this enough, but it bothers the crap out of me. I'm really, really tired of watching YouTube and telling people and having people tell me to subscribe. I'm really tired of it. But seriously, if you like this show, if you're on YouTube, Rumble, Trovo, Twitch, wherever, follow, subscribe, whatever it is. If you like it, please do. We really appreciate it a lot. I'm Jim Peters. Good night, Uncle Donnie, wherever you are. And good night to you, wherever you may be. We'll be off tomorrow night and, of course, Friday. So I'll see you folks on Monday, okay? You have a great long weekend. Take care.